Hello everyone. Today I would like to do a reveal on my great-grandfather's toolbox. And according to the family tree, this box belonged to William Harvey Garner. He was born 10 August 1871. He died 28 November 1940. His son was my grandfather, Holloway Garner, who was born 10 June 1908 and passed away on 13 August 1966. His son, my dad, Reginald Denny Garner Sr., was born June 3rd, 1929, passed away 10 May 1998. And my name is Reginald Denny Garner Jr., and I've gone by Rex all my life. And so I am the fourth generation caretaker of William Harvey Garner's toolbox. The box itself is fairly simple. It looks like a homemade affair that's made of repurposed materials. Looks like a 1x pine top. This joint between the two top pieces is not even parallel to the rest of the box. It's about 32 inches or so in length, maybe 16 inches deep. The inside dimensions are going to be somewhat smaller than that. It has two flip-up iron handles on each end. The front has a hasp and loop, but half of the hasp is missing. And looks like 2 of the 8 pieces of trim are all that remain. And now we shall open up the box and see what's inside. Now granted, some of these tools are going to be fairly late 20th century because the box was used by both my great-granddad and my granddad. By the time my father came along, he may have used some of these tools as a boy, but began to accumulate his own collection, which now I own and have accumulated my own collection as well. And so these remain relatively untouched and unused. I may set some of these aside as we go just to make room. This is a farrier's hasp. Might have been used to rough out some woodwork somewhere along the line. This appears to be some type of basting machine. We were in the laundry and dry cleaning business and also in the airplane repair business, and it's quite possible that this was used in some respect. It carries a fairly heavy piece of cord, possibly used for tarps or tents or something like that. And here we have a large collection of auger bits for use in a brace and bit. Looks like about every size known to man, actually. Wow, even some nice little small ones here. A dozen or so. Fairly early putty knife scraper with a wire loop handle. The nail set. Looks like it's been used as a punch sometime in its life. The little braided end is somewhat pushed back smooth. We'll set these back in here. Moving right along. Old-timey perfect screwdriver, I think these are called. Weird pipe wrench. 3/4 on this end, 1 inch on this end. Another screwdriver. These are just about a matched pair, as it looks like. This one has a painted handle. Some paint remains on the metal. This one just has some old green or blue paint, probably smeared on there by somebody's hard-working handprints. Here's a file that's probably good to be forged into a knife because it has virtually no teeth on it left whatsoever. Maybe the last ½ inch up there might cut something. This is a rivet set. Smooth on that end. This carries the button head of the rivet. May have been modified somewhere along the way. Rivet set. I see a maker's mark of some kind. Let's see what we've got here. W.M. Johnson, William Johnson Incorporated, Newark, New Jersey, USA, number 7. Another auger bit to go with the collection. Weird drill bit that goes in the bracing bit. Little double-ended wrench. A little bit rusty, can't tell what's going on with it. Autolite, ignition wrench. A random piece of wood. Grandfather was in the antique business. It's possible that this is just something that fell off of a piece of furniture. Gigantic plumb bob here. This was machine shop made, of course. Wow. Pretty nice. Some corrosion on it, but it will clean up. Nice bit of machining there. Got a knurled knob with a string hole through the middle. Fairly short string. 3 knurled stripes here. Pretty neat. What else do we have? Oh, here's a file. Early plastic handle of some sort. It says Germany. So possibly a quality tool. Got a lot of wear on it though. Interesting piece. It's not a screwdriver. It has a tiny slot. This is about 1/8 of an inch or slightly larger rod. 8 or 9 inches long. About 1/8 of an inch by 30 thousandths or so slot in the end of it. Grandfather was also into clock repair. It's possible this is something that would reach way up inside of a clock and work a fastener of some sort. What else? It looks like an arrow tip. Probably from a brass target arrow. A couple of push pins, a wooden plug, lock washer. Okay, that's about it for the back tray. Set these things back in. On to the front tray. A Yankee screwdriver. This is one of those things that Mr. Pete really likes. Yankee screwdriver, North Brothers Manufacturing Company, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Patented December 11th, 23. United States of America. It's a small Stilson wrench. Wooden handle. Must have some age to it. Well, has a chip out of the top jaw here. Nice little tool though. About 7-8 inches long total. A cold chisel. My brother-in-law learned what a cold chisel was a couple of weeks ago when I asked him if he had one. He didn't know. And my sister went right to her father-in-law's old toolbox, and right there in the top was a couple of cold chisels. And so we were able to fix something just by beating the snot out of it, which, by the way, somebody has beat the snot out of this one too. Look at that top, how mushroomed over it is. Standard issue set of big old pliers. Yep. A wooden handled putty knife. Nice thin blade on there. Well, there's some neat things here. Wow. What a pair of shears. Those are big. They're very nice though. They're not beat up. Don't see a maker's mark here. We had a Goodyear plant in our hometown. It's possible that these came from there. It was a textile mill. Tell you what though, these will bark over here and bite way over there. Moving on. Little metal handled, what appears to be a hacksaw with a removable blade. Interesting. Some type of tool post wrench or square drive wrench. Fairly large, probably at least a 5/8 diameter forging that it's made from. Pair of wing dividers. Now, I wonder if these have a maker's mark on them. Yeah, something here. Let's see. Worth with a little star. Graduations on the scale there. There's no set screw here, but that'd be easy enough to replace. I use these a lot doing sheet metal layout work. A drill bit that has been offset for some type of crank action. I would hate to know I had to work that through anything major. It'd be a lot of cranking. A double sheave V-pulley. And this is not aluminum, this is steel. This is a heavy son of a gun. It's looks like a 5/8 bore with a keyway, set screw. I could put that to use. Quite rusty forward wrench. Looks like a 1/2 and 5/8 or so, but they're both spread out so far. You probably have to forge them back together to square them up and get any use out of it. It's quite pitted. Probably spent a lot of time in the ground at one time. Somebody salvaged it. Another weird little hex wrench. 15A is cast into it. I think this has a name and I can't remember what it is. If somebody wants to comment on it, they can. A tang chisel with a bolt rammed up into the end of it. Other than that, it's in pretty good shape. Not bent, not terribly pitted up. Maybe that could be gotten out of there. I know what this is because my grandmother made me use one many times during the late summer. It goes on your hand, and I'm not going to say, I'm going to let somebody else say. If you know what that is, go ahead and put it in the comments. Another tang chisel that's been beaten on. And to get that one to work, we'd have to do some machining. Some type of maker's mark stamped into it, but it's not very clear. It looks like there's a wing going off in this direction. Possibly a human figure with a wing. Don't know. Piece of copper plumber strap. Been modified in some way or another. Nice pair of sheet metal shears. Not beat up. They could be resharpened and used. A small gouge. A few other little woodworking tools in here too. Flat chisel, V-groove type thing, cutting knife. There's another one. I think these are fairly common. This is a V-gouge. Don't know what's all over that. Some kind of putty, looks like just a tapered piece of wood. That is an oyster shucking knife. Now I think we are several hundred miles from the nearest oyster up here in northwest Georgia. It's quite heavy too. Stainless. Can't quite make out what this is. I've got reading glasses on, but I would need a magnifier. Looks like the end's been broken off, but you could do some shucking with that. On down the line, have no idea what this is. Somebody might though. Wooden handle. Does a little, looks like a parrot on the end. Obviously meant to grab something. Possibly do that with, I don't know. Teeny tiny adjustable wrench. Forged. What does this say? Barcalo. B-A-R-C-A-L-O. Buffalo. No, Barcalo here. Buffalo here. Number 1, I think. It's frozen right now, but it could be loosened up. Got a little bit of distortion to it. I could put it in the press and get some of that out. Clean that up and add it to the adjustable wrench collection. Well, this is a big nail driven into the end of something else. I don't know what it is. Not even going to try to venture a guess. That's in there good though. Coping saw blades. Small, looks like a sterling or a silver knife of some sort. Very thin. Could be used for separating glue joints. Double-ended hex wrench. Another standard issue pair of pliers. This is nice, the way they offset the handles on them. You're actually gripping down the center of the tool. Interesting shape. Drop forged. Forged steel. The only casting marks there. Beautiful little peen hammer. Handle's a bit split right there, but it doesn't seem to be affecting anything. Has some faint carving in the handle here. Looks like IFX or LEX. If it were REX, it would say Rex, and that's my name. I like that. Nice feel. Well, here's the coping saw. The coping saw frame, anyway, that goes with the blades. A chisel, very heavy handle. Looks almost like a vulcanite type handle with a metal back, 1/4 inch wide, a little bit bent. Random nut and bolt. 3-cornered file. Hey, a hard whetstone. That could be useful for dressing tool cutters and stuff, lathe cutters. I do a lot of high-speed steel grinding, and it's always nice to have something like that to smooth out the final shape on them. Hacksaw blades, 2 sizes. Well, no, this one is broken. Possibly a special use tool at some point in its life. A folding rule. That's cute. Oh, wow. Great big numbers in it. I'd hate to clean that too much, because those just appear to be more or less etched into it very faintly. Now this is interesting. These are obviously not inch marks. They actually appear to be 10, 10.5, 11, 2 inches apart. On this side, we have standard issue. Well, I take that back. I'm assuming some of this may be missing, because we pick up right here at 5, 6, 7, and those are on the inch. And then this up here, possibly metric. But it seems odd, as old as the tool is, that this would be metric. I'll need to study this a little bit more, figure out what's going on with it. This is brass. I think This is something you might use to wind a clock spring with. Like I say, Granddad was a clock fixer. That is a nut pick. Here's his cousin, the other nut pick. In case you don't know, down here in the South we have black walnuts, and if you want to get anything out of them, you got to have one of these to dig little pieces out. It's the human equivalent of a squirrel. Small pair of tweezers, handy to have around. I don't know if I've ever seen any that had a guide to pull them together and keep them lined up. Little hole here, little spike here. Little flat wrench, ignition wrench of some sort. Random nuts and bolts, a piece of brass that's tapered. Cut off not so square. Maybe a clock weight or something like that. Looks like a jump rope handle. This is an awl punch. Looks like it has some age to it. An old pocket knife. Let's see if there is... Nah, it's just a cheap Imperial stainless. Came off the dime store display. This is a knife with a lead handle. Now somebody cobbled that together at some point in time. That's very interesting. Weighs a ton. Now what would you do with that? Why would you have a lead handled knife? Another hacksaw blade. Flat wrench. Might be a oversized skate key. Always found it amusing when they could put 10 wrenches on one body. Little offset small wrench. Weird little flat screwdriver. Has a rubber ring around the wooden handle. The blade's loose in there. Cracked. Be good for tight spots though. There's your stubby. Here's another stubby with a plastic handle. Brush, wooden handle. The hairs are about gone on it. Pair of dikes that will barely open up at all. Interesting old shape to them though. Very little movement on these guys though. Another cheap pocket knife, I think. Can't make out a brand. Another nut pick. Little rat tail file. Kind of coarse. Little hand, probably a leather punch or a leather screwing drill or whatever. Threaded on that end a little bit, and it digs a hole. Random piece of hardware. A wooden drawer pull. Another stubby Phillips screwdriver with a wood hex handle. Might have had a ferrule here as well. Missing now, but it's good and solid. It's like a maple handle. Another tang chisel. This one is unmolested. A little bit short, but it would do fine. A wooden blue pencil. That's old. A regular old wooden number 2 5/10. 2 5/10. Can I borrow a number 2 5/10 pencil? Dixon Ticonderoga. Made in USA. Probably actually made of wood instead of that weird composite stuff that they make pencils out of nowadays. Here's a round file. What's left of it may be broken. Been looking at this ever since we got into the top of this thing. Cool little vise. 1-inch jaws. I got a feeling this may go on to the jeweler's drill press restoration that we're working on these days. Hope to have that video out for you soon. That is a neat piece. Need to clean that guy up. Okay, that does it for the top trays of the toolbox. This thing is a fairly primitive box. There's some steel corners here holding it together, an old strap hinge here, and a door hinge here that are completely out of sync with each other. You know, when the box closes, everything lines up, but when it opens, this side stands up a little taller. There's a cavity behind the lid here, and it is accessed by turning these little flat pieces of metal, if I can make them work. There's that one. I may have to find a tool to help myself out here. There we go. Let's see what we have here. All right. Adjustable wrench, Ford USA, with the 3/8 drive on the back. Not bad. It's straight. Bottom jaw is a little bit chewed up, but I just fixed a similar one the other day and just stuck this up in the mill and cleaned it up, and it did great. And an old wooden square. Who knows if it's still square? It's tight. We could check it against the box, but we don't even know if the box is square. Well, pretty close. We got two old buggy wrenches here. This one appears to be oiled or painted or something. Beautiful shape though. Here's another one. An entire toolbox in one wrench. Move these over. It's a very neat little C-clamp. Deep throated, about 3 inches. About a 2-inch opening. Just a knurled handle on there. Seems to work good though. Little combination square. Don't see a maker's mark anywhere. Something going on here. Let's see. Something made in USA. Can't really tell. There's a very nice cast square on it though. Nice, nice design. A lot of pocket wear and finger wear on it. I think it was loved. Here we have, written in someone's handwriting. Looks like my dad's handwriting, but who knows. Soapstone for marking metal for cutting and welding. And yes indeed, a collection of soapstone. Alright, well that does it for the contents of the secret compartment lid portion of the show. I'm going to pull the trays out and we'll explore what's in the bottom of the box. Larger things. The obligatory brace. This is a ratcheting type. The old 2-jaw brace and bit chuck. And this is smooth, there's no knurling here. So, probably a fairly old piece. Well, you old tool guys are already looking at the planes. So this is a little block plane. Stanley number 120. I'm sure someone already knew that. A little worse for the wear. It could stand one of the one of the plainer restorations that we see so many of. Here's jack plane. I think I'm correct about this. I thought I learned these in tool school. A number 04. Front knob looks good. The handle has been taped together, so we'll assume it's broken. This little piece here appears to be welded. I know these don't look like that normally. It does work. A lot of leverage on that little rod there, but someone's done a repair on this guy. But all in all, it's not in bad shape. Bottom feels good. It's not pitted up. Just needs some love. Another buggy wrench. Interesting one. There's a looks like a 7/8 or so square drive on that end. All-in-one tool for the discerning buggy owner, buggy mechanic. Work the bugs out of your buggy. Egg beater. Works good. I like the red color on this. In fact, this guy's clean enough to where probably just some linseed oil and a tiny bit of Scotch Brite on the bare metal parts. Craftsman. I don't think I'd want to do a full restoration on that. It's got a lot of nice color to it. Big old claw hammer. Interesting shape. This is just tapered out to a flat. The claws turn almost straight down. It has a little ball in here for probably for pulling tacks or small nails. Handle must have split off at one time and somebody just whittled it down smooth and kept right on hammering. Big too. That's a 16 or 18 ounce hammer. What else do we have? This, some of you may know, is a doweling fixture. Goes on the bracing bit. You adjust the size of the dowel you want to make, like on a chair leg, and then run it down on there and it rounds everything out. Here's a stop, which will limit how far you go. Here's the blade that does the cutting. There's a maker's mark in here. Something C. Stern and Company, Syracuse, NJ, which is New Jersey. I've been to Syracuse, New York. There you go. Doweling machine for the bracing bit. Another Stilson wrench. Wooden handle. Handle's cracked quite a bit, but it could be restored. In good shape. Number 10, I guess that's a 10-inch. And here we have Atlas Tool Corporation. Warranty, drop forged. That's nice. Has a good feel to it. That is an anvil hardy for swaging. Strange kind of a swage. It's tapered up to nothing here and goes down about 3/8. It's about 5/8 to 3/4 wide. And this would go in the square hardy hole. Appears to be cast with a small amount of grinding on it to make it fit whatever it went into. This edge is rounded a little more than this one. Probably seen some modification in its day. Swaging hardy. Oh wow. Might be missing a couple of pieces, but this is a socket set. And it's going to need some evaporust treatment, I'm afraid, in order to loosen it up enough to get it apart. But if I could find the missing piece out of here. I would like to have that restored. It'd make a great display for the shop if nothing else. In fact, here's the handle with the drive on this end. All sits in here. Someone may know if this is part of an automotive toolkit for any particular manufacturer. If you do know, please leave a comment. Here we have a draw knife. Not bad shape at all. Wow, it's almost still sharp. Woo. Handles look good. Just a small amount of rust, but nothing to get all too concerned about. Wow. A wooden spoke shave with a blade that has two tangs on it that taper up into the body of it. That's still got some edge to it as well. I imagine that's a fairly old tool there. This is a jeweler's saw. Needs a little bit of cleaning up. Beautiful color tone to the handle though. Just clean up the metal parts and find the blade to go in. It's probably something Grandpa used to work on his clock parts with. You would have a little table with a V cut in it that would clamp to the side of your workbench, and you could work out brass parts, pearl inlays, ivory, different things like that, with a tiny blade that would go in here. I've also seen them used in musical instrument work. Ooh, you planer boys are going to love this one. Yeah, man. Stanley, made in USA. I know there's a number that goes with this. People call it a finger plane or a thumb plane. Has a little divot there to drop your hand into your finger. That's a beautiful little piece there. Just needs a little love. Sharp too. Here we have a small framing square. Once again, we don't know how square is the square. The other square is up in the lid, so we won't compare the two. But according to this square, the box is square. So someone cared what they were doing. Maybe they used this to put the box together. And the last couple of things in here are some gigantic calipers. These are really big. Probably 22 inches long. Here's an inside set. You can see compared to my hands how large they are. And here, if I can get them out, are the outside version. And they are huge. They will barely go in the box. So I'm going to say they're a good 30 inches. You could reach around something and get a good measure with those. And that does it for Great Grandpa's Toolbox. I hope you've enjoyed it. Looks like there may be a few little restoration projects in here for me. And we'll try to show those on the channel at some point in the future. Thanks for watching. Hope you subscribe to the channel and come back and see me sometime.